Hello and welcome to Crochet Moments episode 50, I believe. I'm reliably informed. This is my place where I talk about knitting, crochet and just general yarn hoarding, because your mummy is a yarn addict, isn't she?
Yes, and she's not meant to be.
I live in Leicester with Simon, my very long-suffering husband, and my two girls, Katherine and Emily. So Katherine has joined me on the last few episodes, but she's decided she'd rather play with her Lego today. So she has given me permission to show off her projects and discuss what she's planning on, what she's doing. And Emily wanted to join me until her bath was ready.
Yeah.
Didn't you? Yeah. And we've had a very busy week, haven't
Yeah.
we? So.
And I would also like to show something if you have time.
If you have time. So let's start with talking about all the things we've done. So
Yeah.
This episode is a week late. Do you know why it's a week late?
No.
Can you remember what did Mummy do last weekend? So last weekend I was at brownie camp. I am training to be a brownie leader. I have been volunteering with the brownies for a number of years, and this last couple of years really with COVID, the decision was made that now that I can attend every day, every meeting that we have, and be able to get to camp and things like that, that we would put me through the formal training, and so that I can officially be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
So last Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, I was helping to look after a group of almost 30 girls aged between 7 and 10, staying away from home. I'm still exhausted, but we have had a very busy week. So on Tuesday, where did we go on Tuesday?
London!
We went to London, and where did we go in London?
The museum where Andy works.
Not everybody is in England and will know about this. So we went to the Natural History Museum, and the Andy that Emily is referring to,
Which is the CBeebies one.
Is a children's TV programme called Andy's, is it Dinosaur Adventures?
Andy's Dinosaurs Adventures.
Yes, and Andy has a time travelling clock, and he works in the Natural History Museum in the dinosaur section, and parts of the museum are shown in the children's programme, and his clock is actually exhibited near the cafe in the museum. So you got to see Andy's clock, didn't you? Which you were very excited about. So Katherine was very excited about the geology section. She's very interested in archaeology, and obviously alongside that would be learning geology, because you need to know about the land that you're digging up and things that you're looking at which are natural and which aren't. So she was very interested to see all the minerals that were on display, and she learned a little bit about earthquakes and volcanoes in the exhibit they had there about that. So she's very, very excited.
And we got to go on the earthquake.
Yes, they had an earthquake simulator, didn't they?
Yeah, to feel what it's like in an earthquake.
Yes.
And the houses will be all destroyed. I know it.
Yes, so we've had a very, very busy day that day.
We went on the underground train.
You went on some underground trains, and Katherine has asked if we can go back to London in October for her birthday, because she wants to go and see the Egyptology exhibits in the British Museum. So that's what we'll be doing in October. So, and on Thursday, so yesterday, what did we do?
Go to Chatsworth.
We went to Chatsworth House for the day, didn't we?
Yep.
And we were exhausted. So
Just gonna get my horse from Chatsworth.
So yes, Daddy let them have some souvenirs.
So this is my horse.
Hold it in the square. There we go.
I called her Twinkle Toes, and she's got bows.
Yeah, so Emily fell in love with the Shire horse, so Daddy let her have the Shire horse.
Yep, and they were all of the farm animals separate were all underneath £10.
Yes, they're the Schleich brand. I think that's how you pronounce it. They're very, very good quality animals, although they are a little on the pricey side. But Daddy said you'd been.
I'm the pricey side, yay!
So we've had a busy couple of weeks, and you've had lots of fun, haven't you?
Yeah. And I'm going to start year 2, on the end of the school holidays.
Yes, school holidays in the UK, well, at least for us, there are some areas of the UK which have still got a week to go, but on Tuesday, Tuesday the 30th of August, these two will be going to school. Katherine will be having her very first day at high school, so she starts in year 7. And you will be in your last year of infants, won't you? You'll be going up to juniors next year.
I don't want to.
Oh dear, she's a bit reluctant to grow up. So she is 6. She will be 7 in May next year, and she's very resistant to the idea of growing up. So she has been learning a little bit about the environment, haven't you?
Yeah.
At the Natural History Museum, they had a small temporary exhibit in relation to how humans are changing the world and habitats and things like that. And you just done a poster, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you wanted to talk about that before Mummy started talking about knitting. So there it is. Are you going to tell everybody what it's about?
It's about everybody not killing bugs because they're part of the environment and they help us make compost for our plants.
That's not the only thing that the insects do for us. So one of the parts was about things like bees, how important bees are.
Yeah, and if you've got any, if you know what things could fill up all 10 boxes on here, and that would be great. Hey, but you can only do one for each one.
She's looking for some ideas that she can add to her poster that she's made on things that we could help protect the environment by protecting the animals that help us with the environment.
Yeah, and Daddy just got a moth out of a room.
Yes, we've been not wool moths, just normal garden moths have been attracted to light because we've had the curtains open longer with the warm weather. Thankfully it is cooler now, but it still gets quite humid, so the windows are open later into the evening with the curtains open. They're attracted to the light. They come through the windows, and these two don't like creepy crawlies in general. They do freak out a lot.
Like I don't like spiders a lot.
No, you don't like spiders. Okay.
It's one of my natural habitats.
Yes. So are you going to go sit over there and wait for Daddy now, or are you going to sit nicely while I show off some knitting? Oh, I think Daddy's here anyway. Night. Bless. She insisted. She wanted to come on and say hello. So I let her. So let's get on some knitting content now and crochet content. What have me and Katherine been up to? So Katherine has finished something, although I haven't finished sewing it together. I finished 2 things, and I've been naughty and I've started something and I shouldn't have done. I do have another new start, which is linked to one of my finishes. So I'll get onto that in a moment. So let's start with Katherine's finish. Where has it gone? Ah, there it is. So in my latest Knit Now magazine, there was a kit. It had some balls of yarn, really cheap. Let's get her knitting bag out so I can show you. There we go, some just cheap balls. They're not terribly good quality, but I thought she could make brilliant use of it. Oh, I don't know if we've shown this dress. She has finished another Barbie dress, but I can't remember if she showed this one off, so I'll just flash it quickly when I untangle her shoes from a ball of yarn that's in the bottom of the bag. So there's that one there. Like I said, I can't remember if she's shown you this one. Oh, dear me, Barbie. It's a little loose, so her gauge is very loose. So I am starting to take her down a size or two on her needles whenever she has a project starting. So yes, so that kit came with this pattern book, and she wants to make all of these woodland animals, and she started with the bear. So there's a closer picture. So she started with this bear in the middle, and she's done all the knitting. It's just, I've been so tired. I've just not had the mental energy for sewing things together, and we all know that I'm not great at sewing things together. So that's as far as I've got with putting him together. All of the pieces are done. I just need to sew his arms and tail on and embroider his face, because I'm not using safety eyes. I don't think I have anything small enough in my safety eye set for these little guys. So she is planning on making the full set. She has started the cello, I think it is, he's playing, but I'm not sure what she's done with that. It's right at the bottom of the bag, so I shan't get that out just right now. And her current whip, as well as this, is the shawl. So she had a little bit of a meltdown the other day. Oh gosh. She hadn't been keeping close track of her rows, so she was working slightly wrong, but she refused to frog back to where she'd gone wrong, so I had to fluff it a little bit to get her back on track. So this is the project that she's making. It's Sardar pattern 10217. It's designed for the Shawly yarn, which is a fingering weight yarn. The Shawly yarn has alpaca in it, which on a squish of the ball, Katherine discovered that it made her hands itch in the same way that alpaca makes my hands itch, and we've got a moth fluttering around now, so he'll most likely come and find these lamps that Simon has blinding me. I took her around the yarn shop, which was at its Knit Equip. It's an alpaca farm park. Absolutely amazing yarn shop there, and they do sell some of the alpaca yarn. So she settled on the King Cole Drifter 4-ply in the cornflower colourway. Now I love the Drifter yarn. I've used the Drifter yarn for a couple of projects, and it's acrylic, cotton and wool mix. I haven't personally used the 4-ply myself yet. No, I have. I've got it in the orchid colourway because I'm knitting Katherine a top in it, which I haven't worked on for a little while. And this is where she's got to. It is. So this is where she went a little bit wrong. she had she'd started to do one of these zigzags over this side instead of this side, so I had to fluff it. I've got her back on track, and she's going quite well on that now. She isn't knitting as much as she was. She's starting to get a little bit nervous about starting school again, and I think that might be why she's a little bit slow on the picking up of her needles. So let's pop that back in her bag. So those are Katherine's projects for you. I know some of you are quite pleased to see that she's picked her knitting up again and would be interested in seeing her projects. So before I get on to my projects, I'd just like to remind everybody that when this goes out on Sunday, which is the 28th of August, you will have just, how many days? Oh, flipping heck. I have a diary right here. Let's borrow Katherine's diary. Why do I always forget? So you will have, from when this video goes live, you will have 3 days left to get your entries in for the blanket along that I'm hosting. It's almost my podiversary as well, so I won't be doing a giveaway for my podiversary this year. I'll maybe put something together for later on in the year. I've got a couple of things running through my mind. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them yet. Okay, so for the blanket along, I am giving away one of these sets. It's the yarn pack for the Faith Cowl, which is a Stylecraft free crochet along. Obviously, if you are a knitter and don't crochet, you can use this for lots of other projects. I mean, you've got sweaters quantity in quite a few of those colours, and if you've got someone small to knit for, you could probably do, there's enough there. It's all DK. It's Stylecraft Special double knit, which is an acrylic yarn, and the Stylecraft Special is lovely acrylic, really lovely acrylic. So that is your prize. What do you need to do to take part? Well, you need to be a subscriber of this channel, otherwise you will miss my winner announcement on my next episode. And post a picture of your whip or finished object. I've seen a couple coming across looking really good, and just make sure you tag me and use the hashtag CrochetMomentsBal2022. That's floating somewhere around the screen, depending on where I decide to put it today. Well, actually, no, it's probably going to be tomorrow when I edit this. I'll be finishing this. I will put my feet up and get out my Winter Wonderland blanket, because that's what I'm working on today. That is the project I started, and I've got about this much done on my blanket. I'm not entering, so it doesn't matter. You don't have to finish your blankets. I'm almost definitely going to do this again next year. So if you have a habit of starting a blanket and never finishing it, instead of keeping it in your UFO pile, get ready to finish it off next year, or have a think what blankets you might like to start. And maybe if you're on a budget, like I'm trying to keep myself on, which very unsuccessfully, then maybe start buying the yarn in bits and bobs, because some blankets can be expensive to make for. While we're on the subject of blankets, I don't have my phone easily to hand. It's all the way over there and I can't be bothered to go and get it right now. But West Yorkshire Spinners has released a new blanket. It's a knit blanket in Fair Isle style, and I'm gonna have to get my phone to show you. Right, so here it is. I want to make that. I really, really, really want to make that. It's stunning. I will not be getting the kit for this, however. The kit for this, it's in the West Yorkshire Spinners Croft Aran. and the kit is £145. And well, I've got Bakewell Yarn Gathering coming up in October. The Shapies Cal should be being announced very soon, so I'll have that to buy for very soon. And obviously there's Christmas, so I don't think I can justify £145 on one blanket. I will be doing it. I want to try and find a comparable yarn, so I might be looking at the Drops, because the Drops does yarn that's similar, but it's finding the colours to match. Now I have had a look at what was the brand? There was a brand, but it was acrylic though, and I believe Fair Isle is best done in, at very least, a wool blend as opposed to 100% acrylic. Please let me know if you have any thoughts on that. Colour work with acrylic, where do you stand on that? Will it work? I've done a colourwork hat in acrylic yarn, but it was very, very, very basic. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, yeah, so that blanket is on my wish list. I might start that next year. My two finished objects first. Let's start with my two finished objects. So I haven't had masses of time to craft, so I don't have lots of projects to show, but I am quite pleased with my finished objects. So my first finished object is not 100% finished object, and it looks a bit strange. So while one of the ladies who leads Brownies has a lot of yarn donated, because we do a lot of crafts revolving around yarn, and one of the donations came with a bundle of patterns, some of them very, very old, and I'll get to that in a moment. But they also included a couple of Jean Greenhow books. Now, I don't have this one, and it's very cute. And she was going on about the Jelly Babies. What I did one very early morning, I couldn't sleep terribly well, so I had a little look. I dug through the yarn bucket and found some lovely purple yarn, and I started to knit. And here he is. This looks much darker than he actually is. In what I'm seeing in the screen, he looks almost black, but he's purple. I couldn't tell you what the yarn is. It's an acrylic. I know that it's an acrylic, but there was no yarn band. It's a double knit. I could tell that just by looking at it. He needs a face. I haven't embroidered his face. I haven't decided what colour I'm going to do his face in. But his feet are very strange. So in the illustration, the feet are pointing forwards. So I don't know if I've sewn him together a little bit peculiar. And I'm not overly keen on the gather on his neck. I've done something very wrong there. So I'm not impressed. I haven't made a ton of knitted toys before, so for an early attempt, he's not bad, but I can do better. I can do better. So I just realised I've still got her Woodland Animals pattern out. So my other finished object. I finished some socks. So this week in my project that I've spun for, my knit along bag came out. So here they are. I haven't worn these yet. I don't know whether or not to bother with blocking them, because they're just for me. I do think I maybe need to go up a size. So these I cast on 56 stitches. Usually do about 60, but the pattern didn't have, it was very strange, the pattern, the way it was divided out. So for some reason I did 56. I think it went 56, 64, 72. And I'm still not confident with working numbers out for things like the heel flap and picking up stitches on the gusset and things like that. So this gusset appears neater than the other gusset. I do have a little hole which I've just noticed, so I'll have to correct that. And for some reason I'm getting lines again where my DPNs ran. Now I thought I'd got out of that. Oh, got hair on there. But I really liked the sock. It is just a plain vanilla sock, and all that the designer has done is she's designed the sock for this yarn, and wherever there was a colour change, you just purled those stitches where they were in a colour. But yeah, so also something else I did a little bit. So this was my second sock, and for some reason I didn't follow the instructions, so not the whole bottom of the foot is supposed to be smooth. There was I was supposed to go over a little bit with the purling onto the bottom 2 needles, but I don't care. No one's going to see that part of my foot, are they? That's going to be my shoe. So I have these. I love them. They're lovely, and yeah, they're my socks. So this is part of a knit along that was done in the Knit Now magazine a little while ago now. I can't even remember how long ago. I subscribed to the magazine so that I could get the free yarn bundle. So I have this much of that yarn left. I'm not sure what to do with the leftovers from these projects. So that leads me into my first whip, really. So when I finished that, I started the next project. So this is a series of 4 socks, 4 shawls, and the idea is to use each of the yarns for one of those items. I want to make all 8 or 7 because the first shawl, there were some major mistakes in the pattern. It was a lace pattern. There was no way I was ever going to get my head around it, so that one's not being done. So there's going to be 7 out of the 8 made. And the next project, so I'm working on a shawl now, and this is the Merrow Berries shawl. There it is. And this is so that it's a 4 seasons knit along. And this is designed by Emma Vining. I don't know if this is a pattern you can download yet. I'm just trying to work out roughly when this was running. Let's see. So about a year ago. This has been a project for about a year. It's going to be a very long-term project because I have so many projects on the go that I'm just not getting anywhere with any of them, and I need to sort that out. I've got to stop starting new things. So I am using Katherine's 4mm ponies because she has my 4mm Nova Cubics. And this is how far I got. This is just from about an hour and a half last night. It's done in this yarn, which is the Superba Premium Moulinet. So this is a sock yarn. It feels very rustic. I think that's because it's virgin wool. So it's 75% virgin wool, 25% polyamide. There's 380 meters to a 100 gram ball. So yeah, it took a little. There was a stitch there. I'm learning something new in each of these projects. I'm not familiar with this stitch, so they called it a wrap 3, when I went on YouTube looking for wrap 3, the tutorials I was coming across were not this stitch. What is going on? And I eventually found it, managed to make it work. It looks about right, and I'll be happy with it if it even looks half like the pictures. And then I'll be on a pair of socks and then another shawl. Like I said, that's a long-term project. All of the yarn has been sorted out. I've dug through my stash. Some of my lovely hand-dyed yarn that I've been getting from places like Attic Spin Dye and Luxury Orchidine yarns are in there. And it's living in my Aldi tote. I love knitting. Because I do. I love knitting. I love crochet. So, there's that project. Other knit project that I've been working on. So the shawl that I showed earlier, Katherine's, I am also making one. I am making mine using some Attic Spin Dye yarn, and it's Christmas in July. So this is the same colourway that was in the Christmas Eve box, and just to let you know, he is going to be doing Christmas Eve box again this year. So if you're interested and want to sort of see what kind of thing to expect, I mean, he could be doing something completely different this year, but head over to my Christmas vlogs for last year and have a watch the Christmas Eve one, and you'll see me opening my Christmas Eve box for that. I will be ordering one as soon as the pre-orders go up. But yes, I'm very much looking forward to it. So this, and then he sold some in July for Christmas in July. So here is my progress on this shawl so far. Now, when I first started, I wasn't so sure if I'd chosen the right yarn for the shawl, but I'm loving it now, because it looked very, very busy at this end, and now it's starting to, the colours are starting to pool a little bit, and I just love how bright. It's going to be a beautiful Christmassy shawl, isn't it? And that's, I hope that I'll get it done for Christmas. This is, I haven't worked a ton on it. I will be trying to fit some time in it, but like, I have so many projects. I need to stop starting things. I need to stop. Everybody keeps sharing things with me on it, Facebook and Instagram, and I can't stop just downloading patterns and buying patterns. And then when the pattern's there in my inbox, it's like, I need to start it now. I have to start it. I can't not start it. So but yes, so that's pretty much the knitting that I've got done the last 3 weeks. I thought I'd have loads to show you because it'd be 3 weeks, but it's really not that much. So crochet, I've only really been working on a couple of projects with my crochet. I put in about half a row of my faith blanket, so I haven't even bothered bringing that down to show you. Half a row. Why did I? Oh yes, because of how hot it was. That was why. I wanted to work on something smaller that wasn't sitting on my lap, which is why I started the thing that I'll be showing you in a minute. Because the good news is it has cooled down. So today the hottest it got was 23, which is perfect for me. I don't like it any warmer than that, really. I was able to sit in the garden. I did some crochet and watch the girls play, and for once they were playing nicely. They weren't trying to kill each other, and it's just been really, really pleasant. This last week has been perfect weather, apart from when we got soaked yesterday at Chatsworth. So the piece of cake cow is the Crochet Now monthly crochet along. Every month there are 4 squares to make, designed by Toni Lipsey of TL Yarn Crafts, and I love her patterns. She does do some beautiful patterns. This is a sampler blanket, so it's perfect for anybody who is learning or only knows a few stitches and wants to expand their stitch dictionary. Oh my gosh, what's going on with me? I haven't even been drinking alcohol, and I don't think I will be tonight if I'm like this already. And so I have, these are all the squares I've done so far. Ooh. So last month's was the alpine stitch and the basket weave stitch. 2 stitches which I do find really tedious to do. I love the stitch, the look of the stitch, but I don't know what it is about those stitches. Now I have discovered that I kind of love linen stitch, and I don't know why, because linen stitch is just as tedious as all those front posts and back posts, just as tedious. But the linen stitch squares that I've got, they worked up amazingly quickly. So there's that one, so there's 2 in those colours, and then this one is extended single crochet. Now these will need blocking because they kind of come out rectangle. They are about the right size, they just need blocking a little bit, I think, but maybe once they're all sewn together they'll pull each other into the right size. So this is extended single crochet or extended double crochet if you use UK terms, and I quite enjoyed this stitch as well actually. It's got a nice texture to it and it worked up very quickly. I mean, I only needed 21 rows to get to the size that I need. So yeah, so that's this month's done. Waiting for the next one, which will be a couple of weeks now. I've been a bit slow getting around to doing those. So that leads me to my last whip, and then I'll have a tiny bit of incoming. So half of this episode will be just me chatting rubbish. So feel free to fast forward me if you wanted to. I do have timestamps underneath, so if I start talking more rubbish and you want to see me start talking about something a bit more interesting, then just zoom through that bit. Or go make a cup of tea. So I have started. Let's work out how many balls of yarn I'm attached to here. Oh no, I'm pulling stitches out. Why isn't there a stitch marker in there? Ooh. I found one of my Christmas stitch markers the other day. It's a little jingle bell. Why wasn't there? I usually am quite good at putting stitch markers in the loop of my last stitch. So I have started making the Abigail dress for Katherine. Now there are mistakes in this, but it fits her fairly well. Oh, it's all creased. So there's no actual stitch counts or measurements in this pattern. It's a really, really intuitive pattern and I'm enjoying it so far. I've got the body done and now I've started the skirt. So I've just started putting in the points for the skirt. So, and you can put as many points in, is between, I think it was 2 and 10 points. The more points, the more swish to the skirt. So let's just find that pattern to show you, and also tell you who designed it, because I can never remember the designers' names of these things. Everything will be linked down below because that's how I roll. So here is, there it is. Let's just zoom in on So that's the dress I'm making. It is designed by Crystal Riley Watts, and I'm sure she has an Instagram handle, but I can't find it right now. But it is, all of the information for the pattern is linked below. I am using these yarn art flower cakes. I'm alternating the cakes. At the moment I'm doing every other row, but I don't want the skirt to be so long, so I will eventually reduce how many rows that I'm doing in between. So I know for the bodice I ended up doing, I think it was 2 rows from one cake, 1 row from another, and then 2 rows, 1, 2, 1, until I ran out of the shade on the first cake, and then I'd roll off that shade from the other cake and rejoin with the next colour. So this is a gradually changing skein of yarn, very, very similar to the Sheepy's Whirls. So one thread will change at a time. So it started off with this really, really pale pink, and it's getting gradually darker, and it's just going to fade down into the dark grey. So I will be making 2 of these dresses. Excuse the noise of the door. Simon has just come down from putting Emily to bed. And this is the colour that Emily's chosen for hers. Now I've had to get 2 cakes because approximate yarn usage for a dress of her size is 1 1/4 cakes. So I will probably start off just doing 3 rows of one cake, 1 row from the other, and see how I go. So, because Emily is obviously much smaller than Katherine is. So those are, as far as I'm aware, the whips that I have worked on during this last 3 weeks. I have put a couple of rows into my Perseverance and Mystery Knit Along. That's upstairs. It hasn't changed. It's the same pattern as last time. I will show that next time. So I'll just get onto my incoming and let you go. Okay, so incoming. I'm going to start with my bag. I bought a new bag from Chatsworth yesterday. I saw these totes and I thought that would make a perfect project bag. It's beautiful, and it made me think maybe I could start doing this everywhere I go. Getting a tote bag for, if they're nice tote bags. I mean, this is a really good quality tote bag, and it wasn't badly priced. I was expecting it to be much more. I think it cost me about £8, and it's got some sparkly. This is one of the gates, I think, at Chatsworth, but it's very pretty. And yeah, so I need to put a project in that now. So I might even transfer the Abigail dress into there, so it's not in this too smaller bag. It's not squished in. So my other incoming is just some patterns. So as I said earlier, I got given, and you can tell just by looking at the plastic, it's very old. There's some very old patterns in here. Some of them, there are no dates. Others are patterns within magazines, so there are dates on them. So this one is very interesting, as it has a pattern for knitted men's underwear. There's some long johns. There they are. That tickled me. It has other projects in here as well. Was this one? Oh yes, this is the one with the really nice gloves. So these gloves here, I really like those. So they've got this beautiful crocheted wrist to them. I'm very tempted to give those a try. Lots of sock patterns. I'm not quite sure what that is. It looks like some sort of a knee support. But yes, and there are 3 different heel patterns and 2 toes. So I've done the wedge toe. So they're calling this the flat toe, but I think that would be more commonly known today as a wedge toe. And this one is a round toe, which I have not yet done on my socks. So, but yes, it's just like 9pence. There's some beautiful things. There's like a sort of a how to knit tutorial thing there. Just really, really pretty things. And obviously you've got the mandatory baby knitting, baby patterns in there and things. And I just love that so much. And there's some more baby patterns. This is really delicate, so I'm reluctant to take this out of the plastic. But these patterns are so, so delicate. There's that one. I need to find somebody who's going to have babies so that I can start knitting baby things. So some of these patterns, these vintage baby patterns, I love so much. And it's been a few years since I've been able to knit baby things, like bonnets and booties and things. There's a gloves and mitts pattern there. So, I mean, if anyone recognises these patterns from their mum's collections, their grandma's collections, because I'm very curious as to exactly how old these patterns are. Obviously we're talking pre-decimal because we've got the 6D. So I mean 6pence for a pattern. So some, there's some beautiful matinee coats. Oh, it almost makes me want to have another baby, but I don't. Before Simon has a little panic. And then we've got some beautiful little cardigans. I mean, all of these are just really, really old. They must be 60s at least. So this one is got a date on it here. August 10th, 1957. It's a pull-out pattern for a baby doll's matinee coat. And this paper is so fragile. And just the thought that it's just something that somebody bunged into a bin bag of yarn to give to the brownies. Some beautiful layette set. Again, absolutely no idea of dates because they don't publish dates in these patterns, but look at that layette. Oh, it's so beautiful. That dress. I need to make that dress. It's so... and then you've got the Quicker Knit Baby Book, P&B Walls. And I just look so cute. I mean, obviously baby things are more economical to knit. I started off clothes knitting by knitting baby sized things and dolls clothes because that's where I go. So my problem is Emily doesn't play with baby dolls anymore, so I can't even make these for a baby doll that Emily would play with, and I don't know any little girls or boys that would play with them. So look, and it's not like I need any more projects really. So let's just... I got up extremely early one morning. I mean, look at that pattern set. Just to have like half an hour before some of the girls started to get up in complete peace and quiet. I had the activity room to myself, and I just sat there sipping on my coffee and flicking through these patterns, because they just, it blows my mind that I didn't pay a single penny for any of these, and somebody was just throwing them out. I absolutely need to make this. Age 6 to 9 months. So I need to make it. And whoever's pattern this was, they were smokers. It smells, obviously, it reminds me of my mum's stash. Sometimes I have all of my mum's patterns in a plastic storage box that slides under the bed, and every time I take the lid off there, it's like stored in smell, even though I've had them at home now for several years. Some of the yarn even still smells of smoke, which is why I haven't used it yet, much of it yet. It's still up on a shelf. I'm hoping that because we've had the windows open a lot during this summer, that it would have aired it out a little bit more. But we shall have to wait and see, won't we? So there's some more hats. And again, these patterns, no dates at all. Absolutely no dates. Some more pretty patterns. Ladybird. That's a really cute one. So this one I could potentially manage to make it fit Emily. So it goes up to a 28-inch chest, and I'm not quite sure she's quite there yet, so I may be able to make that one for Emily when I get round to making all the other things that she wants me to make her. So this one's a little bit more recent. For a start, this gives me the needle sizes in millimetres and not the old sizes, the 10s and 8s and such like. That's very 80s, isn't it? That's definitely an 80s pattern. There's no date on it again, but that screams 80s to me. I think this one's an 80s or maybe a 90s, early 90s. But yeah, again, no dates. Why don't pattern design printers put the dates on patterns? That's what I'd like to know. So I've got the Jean Greenhouse Scarecrow Family book. I really want to make this, but I'm going to have to practice with my knitted toys a little bit more. And then we're getting on to best from some women's weekly magazines. And this one is 2nd of July 1966. Absolutely amazing. Just like the adverts. And so it's not all knitting in here. There are advice columns, cookery, so refreshing summer sweets. So we've got a blackcurrant mallow. Apparently it just slips down. Fine sweet to tempt jaded appetites. It's just really, really fun. But yeah, so there's some really lovely patterns. And there's this one as well. This one is 27th of November 1965. And it has some Christmas cake recipes, some knitted toys, this very lovely knitted jacket and skirt set. It's all very, very good. And then last but not least, another pattern for baby for threepence. I love that little haul of patterns. I absolutely, even if I never get to knit them, I just love the idea of collecting vintage patterns, the really, really old ones. There is a, I think it's Rox Knits. She does sort of like this sort of episode type thing every week, every Friday, and she has given herself a long-term project of knitting a jumper or cardigan from every decade since the 1890s to the 1990s. And some of the projects that she's done are absolutely phenomenal. So I can't wait to see what she does. I don't think I'm brave enough to try that. But definitely I love the idea of trying some of those patterns from the 60s, the 50s and 60s. Those sorts of styles are current at the moment. They're the sorts of styles I enjoy wearing as well. So I think that's probably it for me for now. And one of my lights has just died, so that's definitely a sign that I need to stop talking. And I shall see you again in a couple of weeks when I'll be announcing the winner of my blanket along. So I'll see you again soon. Bye.